In 1912, the most famous ship in human history sank, yet it's completely misunderstood, disguised in Hollywood romance. But when you pull back the curtain, you see the money trail and a perfect coincidence of death. Or is it? Today we are diving deep, no pun intended, into the sinking and years surrounding the RMS Titanic. For those who don't know, this exact time was the most pivotal in financial history, the creation of the Federal Reserve. To grasp the enormity of this time period, we must first look back to the shadowy beginnings of the new financial order. It starts in November 1910 at the remote private Jekyll Island Club off the coast of Georgia. While publicly claiming to be on a duck hunt, the most powerful banking figures, Senator Nelson Aldrich, the most powerful senator in the U.S. at the time, Piatt Andrew, Assistant Secretary of the Treasury, Henry P. Davison, who is a senior partner at J.P. Morgan, Mr. Paul Warburg, an extremely interesting character. We will touch on this more later. And of course, representatives of the Rockefeller Empire. The Rothschilds aren't there physically, but are represented by Paul Warburg, the most powerful and influential men in the financial world. The goal: discuss proponents of centralized control. They were secretly drafting the framework for a central bank. I know this sounds like a fictional novel, but stay around. The plot only thickens. Their vision was a system granting them authority over the nation's credit, the ability to manipulate interest rates, and, most crucially, the power to suspend the gold standard at will, enabling the printing of fiat currency for strategic purposes, a level of financial control unheard of at the time. Yet, a huge barrier stood in their way: the powerful, self-made Wall Street opposition, men who represented the old guard of wealth and independence. This is where the coincidence becomes truly extraordinary. The ship itself was owned by the very syndicate pushing the central bank. The White Star Line was ultimately controlled by J.P. Morgan's International Mercantile Marine Company. Even more staggering, J.P. Morgan himself, one of the central architects, was scheduled to be on the maiden voyage, only to cancel at the 11th hour, citing a sudden, severe illness. Morgan's 11th hour decision remains one of history's most profound what-ifs, especially since reports later surfaced that he was seen in France, looking well, and shopping for art just days after his ship found its watery grave. Was this just a fortunate twist of fate for Morgan, or was it a sign of a deeper, pre-existing knowledge? On board, however, were the three men who represented the most significant financial resistance: Colonel John Jacob Astor, a man of immense self-sufficient wealth who actively opposed a centralized system; Isidor Straus, the respected co-owner of Macy's, whose political and business stature made him an immovable obstacle; and Benjamin Guggenheim, the powerful mining magnate. All three men perished to the depths of the North Atlantic Ocean. The motive behind the sinking, we must emphasize, does not even make sense from a purely fiscal standpoint. The Titanic was actually underinsured by roughly $2.5 million against its construction cost, meaning the White Star Line suffered a financial loss. This puts the theory of an insurance job out of the picture. The final bookend to this unbelievable sequence occurred in December 1913, when, with all the financial opposition coincidentally gone, President Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act into law. The immediate utility of this new central bank was then revealed to the world. Only months after its creation, World War I began in 1914, and the Federal Reserve immediately proved its strategic value by allowing the U.S. to suspend the gold standard and engage in massive debt monetization, printing the necessary fiat currency. The new central bank enabled American elites, particularly through the firms of the original architects, to funnel enormous loans globally. J.P. Morgan's syndicate alone facilitated over $500 million in vital loans to the Allied powers, binding nations to Wall Street's ledger and transforming the U.S. into the undisputed creditor king of the conflict. And Mr. Paul Warburg that we mentioned earlier, well, he's an interesting character. Originally born in Germany, he moved to the U.S. right as all of this was happening, for the secret meeting at the Jekyll Island Club, and then later as the key advisor for the creation of the Federal Reserve. Strangely enough, he had a brother, Who stayed in Germany? Max Warburg. Even through World War I, as the US and Germany were enemies, they remained connected, allowing for the money flow and fees to be earned, profiting both from a losing country and a victorious one. So what do you think? Was the Titanic just one big perfect coincidence? Hit the like button and press subscribe as we continue to unmask these events.